Hi, Crystal. Welcome to the Retail Whore Podcast.
Hi, Michelle. I'm so excited to be here.
I am super excited to talk to you. We met. How are we? We met through the introduction through Market Times Inside Out. They had a
Yep.
round table. You and I connected though on the side, and right away I loved your energy. I'm like, okay, we need to have you on the podcast.
Yes. And I felt the same way about you with my show. So we're going to have you on as well. And it's fun to meet new industry friends.
Your podcast sounds way better than my podcast because you have wine on your podcast. I think
That is
that's
a perk.
smart.
Yes.
So before we get too deep into all the things, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your brand.
Yeah. So I have a company called Crystal Media. I started it in 2012, where I was with a company called Snap Retail. And with that company, my job is really to teach social media to retailers. And what I learned in doing that, I would go to all the different markets, have my seminars, do webinars, and there's only so much that you can do in an hour-long session with these retailers. And so I left Snap Retail and started Crystal Media to help support these retailers with their questions, the ongoing support that you need, the changes that are constantly happening with social media. I was there for them through our membership website and through additional trainings and just helping them do some of the social media as well, like the behind the scenes of their Facebook and Instagram ads and manage their listings, more of the technical stuff that they don't really need to get bogged down with. They've got enough going on as retailers. And so we've been doing that for the past 10 years and have just been really enjoying helping support our independence.
Wow, 10 years. So you guys have really grown because I know you have a lot of people now in your office that work with you, and it's not just you anymore. So I'm like, you guys have had some major growth. And I can only imagine like how different things look from 10 years ago as far as social media.
Oh my goodness. I was actually just talking about this earlier today. 10 years ago, when I would be speaking at markets, you seriously could do a picture on your phone of a table of shirts. They're not even hung up, they're not even being worn, there's no filter. You could post that on Facebook and people would come in and buy them. And now that's just, there's no way that that's gonna, sometimes the algorithm's crazy and weird things get picked up, but that's typically not going to drive traffic into the store. So now, you fast forward, video is just such a massive component to social media today. Short form video content like TikTok and Reels is where we're seeing the most organic reach and the most results without investing your dollars. And so, it's kind of funny, actually. I'll say this too. Over 10 years ago, I had a topic about mobile marketing and I talked a lot about QR codes, and everybody was like, yeah,
What?
nobody's going to use that. That's stupid. Like, that's not going to happen. And then COVID happened, and now you go everywhere and there is a QR code. So the QR code made its comeback, but it's a matter of keeping people up to date because it does change quick. Like, what's working today isn't always what's going to be working tomorrow. And it is a big difference from 10 years ago. That's for sure.
Tell me a little bit about how, because you guys deal with the advertising part of it. Do I need to do paid ads? Do I not? Which that already is confusing, I think, for retailers, as well as manage some of their posts. Like, tell me, like, if I'm a retailer and I'm not sure, I haven't really dabbled in any, because this is what happened during the pandemic as I cut myself off, is what I realized is that it was almost like the universe just kind of swiping away a lot of old school retailers that weren't wanting to get on board with social media, that were like poo-pooing it. No, we've always done it this way. We have no decision, or did not bring in somebody younger if they were uncomfortable, like say my age, and they were uncomfortable, like, I just don't get it. Because believe me, I don't even get fucking TikToks. It's like I just actually hired somebody to deal with that who has such a great reputation, because so don't get it, but I understand it's super valuable. But
Yeah.
for those that were not even wanting to do that, or weren't comfortable getting in front of a camera, like, hey, we're in the store, we're going live. So I'm that person. Now I need somebody, I realize I need somebody, I go to you. Tell me about how the process works, because I'm sure there's a lot of retailers are going to want to know this.
Right. Well, and there's a couple of things. So, because one, I recommend that the store owner is not the one who's in charge of the social media
Okay.
because you're wearing too many hats. You have too many things going on. Your zone of genius is probably not social media content, but you need to use social media to stay top of mind, stay connected to your audience, drive traffic in. So having somebody or multiple people on your team, depending on the size of your store, and getting them engaged. And often what we find with our retailers who have the team that can support them, they love creating this content. Set some, things in place of standards of what's acceptable, what's not, some goals for them. That way you have some success metrics and things that you can track and hold them accountable. But ideally, they're the ones that are spending some of that time looking at what the trends are, creating the content, posting that content. The challenge comes in is either the store owner doesn't know enough to teach and manage that employee. They don't really know what are they doing, what do they need, or they don't have somebody yet that can be doing that. And so that's kind of where we come in. So if you have somebody or a team that needs training, support, accountability, a place to ask questions, that's our insider membership. We have hundreds of retailers in there that are sharing their successes, asking questions. We do live trainings. And then Steph is my main contact in there. I call her my content creative genie because she comes up with the best content ideas for all types of retail stores. So if you're stuck, you don't know what to post, that's such a big one for everybody. It's like, I don't know what to say. Go ask. Our insider membership's a really good place to train the team. Now, the store owner who doesn't have the team yet, Insider Group is also great for them because they do get kind of that bite-sized tips and content on what they can be doing to at least make sure that they're consistent and posting. Plus, we have a lot of encouragement in there as well. I'm sure you've come across this. A lot of retailers that we work with have a lot of fear on being on camera or the technology, putting themselves out there. What if I make a mistake? What if I look stupid? All the things, right? And so we really help support them in our training and in the group too, to kind of help them get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And so that's where Insider is just such a great place for whether it's your team, it's the store owner. If we go deeper with stores, I have to tell you, our most successful stores are ad clients of ours where we run their Facebook and Instagram ads for them. So this is paid. You are spending money on Facebook and Instagram, but it is so technical, the back end. That's where we do it for you. But you're still posting to your page. And this is something that's really important that I want everybody to really understand. So many retailers will ask us, will you just post for me? I don't have the time. I don't have the interest. I don't know what to say. And that I don't recommend outsourcing the posting to a third party because I'm not in your store. I don't know your products. I don't know your customers. I can't run and be like, is this still available? What's the price? What size do we have? I'm not an expert in what you do. So I need that content to come from within the store. So that's where, if we're really helping the retailer get it done simply, the store owner, if she doesn't have somebody to do it for her, or we're working with the team and you have the team that's doing it for you, we will then take that content that they're already posting on their page and we'll advertise that. So more people are seeing that content that you work and spend time on creating. Plus we run several other types of ads to different audiences based on the retailer's goals. And then from a listings perspective, that's very hands-off for the retailer. They have a listings manager. You respond to the email once a month if you have any updates, changes. He makes the changes on over 60 listings for retailers. And those are things like Google, your Google profile, Yahoo, Yelp, Dex. There's over 60 online listings for local businesses. And if you have the wrong information, if you have outdated information, then it's going to hurt you in the search results. It's going to hurt your brand, and it affects the customer experience. If they see that online, your store hours are from 10 to 6 and they show up at 10, they plan their whole day around it and you actually don't open till 11, but that's wrong on Google, then you're having that terrible customer experience. And so we take care of all that for the retailer as well.
I come across that all the time, like where I'll be in a store and it's like, I'm working because I get there at like 6 in the morning and we're merchandising and I'll have somebody come to the door and they're banging on the door and I'm like, I don't work here. And they're like, well, it said it's open and they are
Yep.
pissed. And I don't
Yes.
blame them, but I don't think, I think a lot of people make changes to their hours and stuff like that and don't even think about like, oh, we need to change it on everything from our website to what you just listed.
Everywhere. Well, that's the thing. And that's a problem and a downfall with tech because we love tech and then we hate it sometimes, right? So, with all these sites that have, they're called listing sites. And so they have all this information on local businesses. And those sites can be updated in several different ways. It can be updated by the retailer, but it can also be updated by customers. It can be updated by information that's scraped on the internet, different aggregators that are feeding information into these sites. And so if you don't have control of your listing, then you don't have control of what's being shown. And so there's a lot of frustration with the retailer where they'll be like, I thought I updated this. I'm so mad that it's not coming through, but it's because you don't have control of it. That it requires software to have control, which we have access to. So that's where we're able to do it.
So you guys are way ahead of the game with a lot of people that are doing this because you have that program.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say that because I just interviewed Ashley from the Boutique Hub, and she has created this amazing community. It sounds like your platform is somewhat of a community where other retailers are able to talk to each other, which I think is brilliant because one thing I've really realized about this podcast is that, and I've heard it so many times, like retail is super lonely. Like you are in your store day in and day out, and you get out, you go to the show twice a year. It's great. You're out, you're social, but it's still a hell of a lot of work. You're walking up and down, you're talking all day. But you, for the most part, are sitting in your stores all day and you don't have a circle of people that you can say, hey, I have a question about this or what, and for the Boutique Hub, that's what I love about for just the general scope of it. But for yours, it's so specialized for somebody that is coming into this, that doesn't understand it. Like, what a great way for you to be able to have interaction with other retailers and hear successes, as well as like, hey, this didn't work for me, don't do it.
Exactly. Well, and the other thing that happens in social media is something breaks, something isn't there when it used to be there, something's changed. I don't understand. If you try to contact Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, good luck. You're like wanting to throw your computer out the window and just shut down your accounts. It's just so frustrating. So don't do that. Come to our group. If you're an insider, we will either figure it out for you. We'll find what you need. I don't want you going through the stress of all of that. And the other thing is there is like, we might go to YouTube and we're watching videos on how do I do this? And that video is actually from 3 years ago. And so you're wasting your time on outdated information and it's hard to follow along. And sometimes we have just our unique situations where we just need support for us. And that's really hard to find. And we're very niche, like we are social media for retailers. So we also really understand your business, what you're trying to achieve, and can help you solve those issues. And then the other thing, like you said, of celebrating people. I mean, sorry. I think there we go. Accidentally hit my switchboard button.
I'm like,
I just,
what am I on?
know,
Those of you who are listening,
yeah.
screen just completely like, and it was like a quiet, shutdown.
I just faded away for a moment and then I came back.
That was hilarious.
I know, but it's all about the celebration, opposite of fading away. Like we love when we see these successes and want to cheer people on. The other thing too, going back to just the fear, when you have the courage to speak up in the group and say, hey, I'm like really struggling to go live. I know I need to go live. You guys keep talking about it. I'm so inspired by other people's success that I'm seeing, but I'm really struggling. So when you've got me, my team, other members in there really encouraging you, and then you do it, and then you come back to the group and you're like, I did it. That wasn't so bad, right? Like everybody survives going live. So it's a really special community. And I have some members who have been with me for the 10 years. I have people who joined 10 years ago that renew every single year because of the support. And it's just the nature of the beast. This industry changes so much that you need a place to stay up to date.
You had said something, and which I want to circle back around to, about not hiring third party people, because one of my clients is a 5-chain pharmacy, and he has an outside group doing it, which is great for the pharmacy end of it because they're writing blog posts on medical things. It's not product that's sitting in our store, but the idea was to have them also focus on the gift store. But what was happening is, for all of you who are thinking about doing this, is that they're not in the store. They're not seeing what are new receipts. They would come in and shoot a month's worth of content. And it's like, some of the photos would show up 3 weeks later, and I'm like emailing, that's not even in the store anymore. It's sold out. Or, and that was a perfect example of why, we needed to bring it inside. And it, unfortunately, it's never really picked back up again, because the staff is so, with COVID, and the girls are running the gift department, and then they're behind the counter helping customers, inputting information. So, but it seemed like a great idea at the time, but really truly it did not work out, because it really needs to be somebody that's there in your store of the moment. This is what I'm trying to, one of my clients, I'm like, you guys need for Instagram, you really need more of a presence, because they'll do a post here, a post there. And I'm like, you're missing the whole connection, because the reason why they are who they are is because this great community they have of healers. It's a crystal store of healers, of this and that. And they never do stories. And then, like, you guys are missing stories is such an important connection for you and your customers, and be like, this just came in today. Isn't it amazing? We only have 20 of them, guys. Like, if you're around, come down today. Like, there's so much that you convey through stories, and you yourself being on your store floor, plus the passion that you have for your own product. But if you are nervous about it, I understand, but it's like, it's very hard, which is, now I want to ask you, going live. I know that pandemic changed everything. And I love the going live thing. It's funny because this podcast started from doing live Instagram interviews with retailers. What's working, what's not, what are you guys doing? Like, how are you getting through it? Like, how are you pivoting? And then it kind of went away, because we all got back to normal life. And like six months or a year later, I'm like, I'm going to do the podcast. Okay. I've never gone live again after that. And now it's like, I'm going to ask you, for me, and then also in regards to other stores, give some examples of why going live is important, and some ideas of like how retailers, this is what you could do going live, and giving people some ideas. Because I think a lot of people, that half of it is, I don't know what to say. And the other half is, oh my God, I don't have makeup on. I like that, all of that.
Right. So, I mean, you can do so much when it comes to Facebook Live. And I wish more people did live stream, more retailers, because it is such a great way to connect with your audience in real time and have them feel special. Let me give you a quick example, and then I'll get into some tips for everybody. So I was speaking to a group of florists last year, and I'm talking about live streaming and the importance of doing it. And this florist came up to me afterwards and said, you're so right about live streaming. I've been doing a weekly live every Wednesday, and I'll pull a winner. And you have to be live. I'll call someone's name, and they have to come in, and it was like a $20 gift that they can get. So this florist shared that there was a customer of hers that was watching the lives, and she was one of the winners. So when she came in to get her gift, or her prize, she said, I just have to tell you, she has tears in her eyes. She's very emotional. And she says, I just have to tell you, I tune into your lives every single week. Since COVID, I have been really struggling. I'm at home. I live alone. I just don't really have much of a community, and I look forward to your lives. I love you. And when you called my name, I yelled and fell off the couch, was so excited. You made my day. Like, she's emotional. She's so happy to have that kind of connection. With your customers, or potential, they're just finding you. I mean, it gives me chills, which sounds maybe a little dorky, but like, right? It's really incredible what we can do. So with the retailer, first of all, I don't want you to think about, like, yes, we're going to think that it's live stream, but also keep in mind the replay, the person that's watching the replay. Because if you're going live, what often happens is maybe no one shows, maybe 5 people show, two of them are your family members, one's your team, or you're really consistent and you've built it up and you're seeing a lot of people show up. But just don't get discouraged with the numbers because people will watch the replay. It's bound to happen. And what I recommend, if you've got some ad dollars to invest, advertise the replay. Get more people watching that video, especially if it was a great video you were on, you were moving, you were prepared, the people who were there were engaging. Then what I want you to do is when you start right away. Don't be like, we're going to wait for a couple people again, because we're thinking about the replay. Be prepared. Yeah. A lot of people will be like, I'm just going to sit here and wait. Yeah. Oh, it drives me nuts.
Yeah,
No,
you're right. So many people do. I mean, it's like, okay, there's 20 people. Okay, we'll wait a couple more minutes. Meanwhile, it's like people are starting to drop off. I'm assuming it's like, okay, I don't have time for this. I got to go.
We sure don't. I mean, in our short form video content world that we live in, short is considered 60 seconds. So if I'm waiting for you to like get this party started, I'm out of here. So get to the point, dive in. People are going to join you at that point. You could be like, welcome everybody. I see some people joining live. One thing I really recommend doing is get people to engage, get them to comment. Where are they watching from? Get them to tag a friend to view along with. Tell me, which one do you like better, the red one or the pink one? Like, get their engagement going, because that helps the algorithm. When people engage on a social media post, they're more likely to see your posts in the future. Plus, when you get a lot of engagement on posts, that's going to story people's posts or more people's feed and TikTok. So we want to make point, if you market your live streams ahead of time, you tend to have more people there, especially if it's like a kind of an event. You're going to pull some winners. They've got to be live to attend. That's a good way to get people there. Yeah. And then another tip that I'll leave people with is, if you're doing selling, which social selling, live selling is one of the best ways to go live. It's a fun, engaging event, works really well for retailers. If you're not using third-party software to do the live with you to help shopping easy. So for example, Comment Sold is a great software solution for that. They'll have, type the number of the product 89, and then automatically you'll get an invoice to buy that product number 89, whatever that is, a basket. And so then you fill it out, the invoice, you buy it. It's really easy. But if you're just getting started, you don't necessarily have to learn the software of Comment Sold and get it all set up. You can have some items, put a number on them. So it's easier for people to be like, number 2 sold, right? And then you can go back and find that person and be like, okay, number 2, if you've got a person, I saw this done really well with one of my dear friends. I helped coach them a little bit to do this live stream, home decor store in Solana Beach. And in a 90-minute Instagram live, they did $17,000 in sales. They had no software. I told them, put the number on the item. They showed the item. If you wanted it, they pinned to the top of the live. You could do this on Facebook and Instagram. You can pin a note. So tell them how to buy. So if it's to call, if it's to go online, whatever. So they pin their phone number. People had to call and they're like, okay, I would like item number 89. They give their credit card, they put a note, boom, it's done. So make it easy, but I don't want people to get too like in the weeds and make it complicated with the software and doing this like fabulous show. Don't think that way. People love the realness of, like you don't have to go super fancy.
Where is my Elisa who does our guest interaction? Elisa will send me this live, and it's amazing because number one, they're my age and older. I'm 56. They're in a vintage store that sells amazing, like Gucci and the Vuitton and like everything from Ferragamo dresses to the Dior little saddle bag. I mean, amazing things, but they are hilarious because they're like, and we're doing that. I can't see I am dying because it's literally like, and then what is that? I can't hear you. I mean, it is the biggest shit show, but it is the best entertainment. And damn, they sell so much. Like, it's incredible. So I have a question, because I know, well, 2 things. We've interviewed Renee, who has her company's called My Girlfriend Renee. She's all about repurposing content. Like she's so good at it. And she spoke at the UPP event, which is the Ultimate Product Party that was last year. And she talked about going live. Exactly. And how no one can see how many people are on live. You're the only one that can see it. And she's like, really, at that point, it becomes about BSing, like, oh, hey, how are you? Oh, yeah, what's that behind me? Oh, that's my, blah, blah, blah. And just no one's going to know. And it's really
Right.
about engaging people where, again, where you're watching the playback and it's like, oh, she's on right away. And starting from from the beginning is like, that is can't be more more of a good piece of advice than, because I mean that part of it was sitting and watching people waiting. It's like,
Oh,
okay.
it's painful. And the thing is, here's the deal. People, this is why social media works. We like people that we can relate to, that we feel like I see myself in that there's something about that person I really connect with. Vulnerability, and this has been a big lesson for me personally this year, because I have just been more vulnerable. I've been more open about things I'm going through and sharing those in business settings and on my podcast. And when I do that,
Yep.
that is when I get the most DMs, I get the most comments, I get the most people come up to me at shows. I just love that one episode. I relate with that too. People are crying from an episode that I shared where I was just real. And look, I filmed that and then I'm thinking, I got to delete it. There's no way I'm publishing this. What am I doing? And you just do it anyways. And that is the content that people care about. It's meaningful. And we buy from people we know, like, and trust. How do we know them? It's because we drop our walls, we just be us and be real. So to the point of that show, that it's all over the place. They're just being
So
them.
good. It's
And
so
that's what
good.
people love. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's truly why. I mean, I almost want to have them on the podcast
You should.
because they are brilliant in what they're doing. And like I said, they're older women and they are, winging it and just, and they're killing it in the game. Like they are truly killing. I mean, like I can't even imagine, because it's like, you're like a vintage Gucci bag is like starting at $3,000 and it's just like, okay, so-and-so wants it, but I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch this show. You're gonna have to send it to me. And you
I'm gonna
definitely have to have them on the
when
podcast.
Lisa sends it to me, I'll forward it to
Yeah,
you. She'll
good.
read them as they're going on. One of the things I did want to ask, also this is partly for me, is that I know a lot of people when they're going live will have somebody like an intern or somebody, they're asking the questions instead of you, because I can't even imagine trying to talk to people and be this engaging. Meanwhile, like trying to read what is coming up. Is that what you suggest?
It's so much easier if you have somebody helping you. Really, like, if you, especially depending on your setup and where the camera is, if you're showing products, you're going to be a little bit away from the camera. And so, yeah, you don't want to go real close and then you're trying to read stuff and it takes away. So if somebody can kind of follow through and then cipher through, maybe a few people ask the same question, then they can be like, hey, a couple people asked this, versus you be like reading it. Oh yeah, that was just asked. Like, it just makes it longer, drags it on. Some people are just like, love it, and that's where the moderator person can be like, so many people are saying they love the green one, or, give the feedback back to the speaker. But to have somebody help moderate it makes for a more clean live.
Seems like I've talked about this with Ashley. One of the things that I love, I've been in retail for 40 plus years, and it's like I've seen it from handwriting your orders on POs to when they started scanning things and no one understood how to deal with the new laptop thing. I mean, it's crazy. And now what is super cool to see in the world of social media, and I've only seen it the last probably 3 or 4 magics, and apparel is much more ahead than gift is. And Ashley and I talked about this the other day, is that the one thing apparel people have done has really taken their social media to the next level.
Yeah.
And gift people are a little less, I don't know, I'm not quite sure why. I mean, one of the things I say, and I'm sure it's going to bum people out, but it's not the first time y'all heard it, but is that I always say gift shows are like old ladies in cat sweaters, and apparel is like fashion. It's loud, there's DJs, there's interaction, like there's people walking around with their ring lights, and so, I mean, it's night and day than what's even just the music and the interaction part that's like the gift show atmosphere. Apparel is so ahead of the game, and so it's so cool to see in my age and seeing how everything has progressed through the industry, it's so cool to see these young kids, girls, whatever, influencers, buyers for online shops at Magic with their ring light. Because right now, I can tell you right now, if I had to walk around with my ring light, it's not going to happen. I mean, these guys are fearless. I mean, seriously, they'll go. They've got their whole friend, all their friends are doing their pictures. They're going
Yeah.
live, ring light, the whole thing, and they're in booths. They're pulling the pieces that they want at wholesale. They've already decided the retail. They've got one of their friends in it. Look at so-and-so's in the sweater. It's so cute, blah, blah, blah. And they're actually taking orders live and they're turning around to the vendor.
Yeah.
Like, we'll take 10 packs of those. It's mind blowing. And it's like, I so hope the gift industry, like I want nothing more than to see people live at the gift show. Okay, Voluspa's new candle is amazing. It smells like tangerine. It smells like this. Like, we're only going to get this many. I'm telling you now, like if you want to pre-order, they have got pre-orders coming in and going, okay, now I know at least I need 12 sets of 12. I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a different, but it means being brave, man. It means putting yourself
Yeah.
out there. And it's like, I wonder if that's why a lot of people in the gift industry aren't, because you just don't see it.
Yeah. I mean, I really believe that social media doesn't happen for two reasons in our industry. One, time. We work with like the busiest people on the planet. And so time I know is an issue. Two is the fear, which we've already talked about the fear. Now, from the time perspective, I think that social can be simple, but it's not easy. If it was easy, then everybody would do it. But it really can be simple. I think that we just get in our own way and we, again, there's these roadblocks of, but I don't know how to do it. Okay, now, but I don't know what to post. It's just the unknown and we're not setting ourselves up for success. So I have a topic around this and we teach our retailers on how to help them. And it's much deeper than what I will share today. But one thing is have a cue. Like you've got to change, you've got to create the habit, right? You have to get in the habit of posting every single day. You can post great content, be top of mind, show up for your people in 5 minutes or less a day. So I believe, even though we are busy, you can find those 5 minutes. It's about making it a habit and a priority. So if you have a cue, and maybe that cue is I have an alarm on my phone at 10 a.m. that I need to post, and then make posting easy. So I have this daily 5, what I call it's 5 steps to help you post in 5 minutes or less a day. And the first step is think of your perfect customer, your favorite customer. Just think of that person, have that person in your mind, get your phone ready. I'm thinking about that customer. Next, just be you. Just remember that like everybody loves you. They want you. They don't want a different version of you. They just want you, be you. Then third, I want you to think of the acronym SHARE. So, because that's what we're going to do, right? We're going to share. So we need to either think of one of these 5 things that you'll post. S is for a story. Did something recently happen that's funny or inspiring or just about you or the store, employees, a customer, something? Share a story. Could you do human? This H is human, which is sort of funny, but it's pictures of people is what people love. They want to see you. They want to see the store owner. So can you do a quick selfie? I was at a coffee shop a couple days ago. I did a quick selfie saying I needed to switch up my environment today. It so helps me be more productive. And people loved seeing that, right? And it was so easy for me.
Cute post, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So it was so easy to get done. So can you either story, human, arrivals? This is where we're talking about product. Then we've got our R for recognition, whether it's for you, like you've won an award recently, or you're up for something, or you're really proud of something, or you're recognizing another local business or an employee or something like that, right? And then the final is E of the share, which is events and promotions. So just have that in your calendar. 10 o'clock, my cue goes off, my alarm goes, here's my share acronym. Well, I'm going to pick one of these things. I'm thinking of my perfect customer. The 4th step is jump right in. Don't be like, hey guys, it's Wednesday. And I was just, like just get into it. And then the 5th piece of this, of your daily 5, is another acronym, which is HOPE, which stands for help one person every day. And I learned this from my mentors, Chris Winfield and Jen Gottlieb. And it's helped me so much in those moments where I'm feeling really stuck or uninspired. If I think about my perfect customer, who for me is Michelle Smith, who owns Piccolo Mundo Toys, cute toy shop, love her. I think of Michelle and I'm like, how can I help Michelle today? And what can I do on my social to that's going to inspire her, that's going to make her laugh, that's going to teach her, that's, something that connects with her. If you change your kind of mindset around posting around that, it makes it a lot easier to post. And let's just say that you were like, I'm doing my daily 5 today and it's all about new arrivals, but that last part is hope. So maybe then when you're done with that post, you're going to go and you're going to share another business's post to your story to help
That.
spread their awareness, right? Or go and comment or do something for somebody else, just that one person every day. So
I
that's my goal, to get that done.
I think again, like I think a lot of people get worried and very competitive and don't want to
Mm,
share, and they don't understand the power of sharing and promoting other businesses, because it's only going to make your business stronger. And
yep.
it's building on that community. And that's what I love with Ashley's tagline for the boutique hub is community over competition, which I
Yep.
think is so important. Just that little thing of sharing other people. I mean, it's like, that's what we're all here to do, is hopefully is to boost each other up. It's only going to make, I feel like, the industry stronger all the way around.
Totally. Absolutely.
Do you suggest people doing calendars for their social media? I know a lot of people do that. That way you're not at like what I used to do at 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I'm up and I'm scrolling through my pictures and I'm gonna put it's literally how I did it. And it's like I only had time, because I was doing it at 4 in the morning before I went to work. I only had time to post it on one place. And now I have moved into having a virtual assistant, and I send her, it's been kind of not as much as I'd like, but 2 weeks at a time or a month at a time content. And then she creates the post around Canva. I give her all of the verbiage, the tags she already has. And that way, one, I'll tell you, it's like, I'm sure with people, with you guys, like it takes so much off my lap that I don't, and she's hitting every single platform. Like that would have never, ever have happened if it was just me doing this at 4 o'clock in the morning off the cuff of doing.
Oh, yeah. Right. Getting that support. So absolutely. So with the Daily Five, this is helping you get into a habit of posting and showing up, right? What ends up happening is we start seeing results. People comment. People are coming in. They're like, you talked about this, and they're showing it on their phone and they're asking, where do I find it? You're seeing results. Results create momentum. So then we start being like, okay, I'm seeing this work. What else can we do? And this is where I really recommend that retailers have a social media plan. Because if we don't have a plan of what we're posting, where, when, connecting it to the marketing calendar, connecting it to our events, connecting it with our email and our text, like it's all should be together in one place, then we're missing a lot of opportunities if we're not doing that. And we're also wasting a lot of time segmenting different things, siloing things, not even posting about things if we're not actually planned out. So that's something that what we teach is the store owner should be involved in like the goals. They need to communicate what their SMART goals are with their audience: specific, measurable, achievable, timed, and relevant. Relevant and timed, got the R and T backwards. Not with their audience, but share that with their team. And they take those goals and they're like, okay, I see that we are trying to really increase our average order. We're trying to, we're going to drive more traffic in by ideally 10% if they're tracking actual traffic, foot traffic, if you can track that. So it's measurable. And we also we've got these new bundles that we're doing. They're really cute. It's a big focus and we really just want to sell out of those as fast as we can. So we're taking our SMART goals, and then your team is reverse engineering. What kind of content do we need to be creating to help have that ticket higher? So maybe we're focusing on a little bit of a higher price point item in our lives, in our stories, on our shops, and we're tagging those in our reels. We're trying to drive more traffic. Maybe we're doing a special giveaway and we post a picture. And if you bring this picture in and you're the first 10, you're going to get $10 off or something special, a free gift to really help drive the foot traffic. If we're trying to sell these bundles, then we're doing an ad around the bundles. We're going to go live about the bundles. We're doing a reel with the bundles. So it helps drive the content,
Yeah.
and there's an actual plan and structure. And then it also helps the store owner be like, okay, Did we meet our goals? What worked? What didn't? What are you going to do different? And really helps them work as a team.
I love that idea. Like I think that's brilliant. I mean, I think again, like a lot of people do their social media. It's just off the cuff. Like I'm going to do it when I get to the store
Yeah.
and then there's not much of a plan. I think like what you just said is exactly why you need a plan.
Totally. Totally. Well, and kind of a shameless plug, we have a social media planner. It's a physical planner. It's a 12-month planner that comes with training.
Oh, that's
So there's training videos in there. We have the whole section of what you need to be thinking about for your marketing and for your social media. And so then that makes it super easy for you to just get it done and can also be a tool to help the team be accountable.
Will you send Elisa the acronym
Yeah.
breakdown as well as the link to that? I think that'd be brilliant. And I think that a lot of people listening could use that. And it's like a
Yeah.
great tool. Okay. I have a question just on the sideline is, a lot of people, including myself, because I don't really not a fan of it anymore, but Facebook, like tell everyone about, because I think a lot of people during a lot of the last few years kind of burned out, because to me, Instagram's all visual. Facebook is like a mountain of people, everybody's opinion on everything. And I think I because of that, I don't even really go on it anymore, because unfortunately more of who I follow is that group versus businesses. Tell everyone about the value of Facebook and Facebook ads and Facebook groups, because I think that's one thing retailers could tap into that is so important.
Yeah, I mean, well, you nail it with ads and groups. Those are the two best ways for a retailer to use Facebook. We're seeing very mixed results as far as page success. So having a business page for your store, especially measuring it against Instagram. So we certainly, over the past couple of years, more and more people have joined Instagram. It actually was a lot slower than I would have thought. Because I feel like Instagram was so much easier than Facebook. You take a picture, choose a filter, post it. Like it was just really easy. It's getting more complex now as they're adding more features, and they're great features, but it is more complex. But there's a lot of retailers who are questioning, like, is Facebook dead? Is it worth my time? And I think that there's different generations that prefer Instagram over Facebook and vice versa. And so if you're somebody who you're turning more to Instagram, like a perfect example of this, Steph, who's on my team, she does our social media. She goes to Instagram. She's in her 20s. And that you could tell, like, she posts more content there. And I'll be on our Facebook page. I'm like, we got to post Facebook. We still got people here, like it's just not even really in her world. But when we post to Facebook, we get more engagement than we do on Instagram.
Interesting.
So but like a boutique, for example, is most likely going to see a lot more from Instagram than they are going to from Facebook, because of the nature of the beast. And it is so visual, and the lifestyle images. And
Yeah.
I mean, you just have more there. Facebook is a little bit more old school, but depending on your store, like if you are a gift shop, it is still a very relevant site for you. Your audience is absolutely there. I just talked to my aunt the other day who's in her 70s, who clicks on ads. She just purchased something from an ad she saw on Facebook. She's not on
That's
Instagram.
my mom, Facebook. And not
Yeah,
Instagram.
exactly. So it all comes down, we have a whole framework on how to set up your social media plan. And the first part of that is knowing who your customers are and where they're spending time. So if you do have an older demographic, and depending on the store type, then Facebook is probably still a very strong place for you to show up. The challenge, like many other platforms, is it's hard to get people to see your posts. So you're posting, but the algorithm isn't showing it. So organic reach on average on Facebook is 1% to 6%.
Wow.
So 1% to 6% of those people that say, I like you, I'm following you, I want to see your stuff, only 1% to 6% are seeing it. So that's where ads come into play. And that's why I say our most successful retailers are advertising, because you're paying to basically force that visibility to get in front of these people. One of the best audience groups that you can advertise to are the people that like your page. Let's say 3,000 people have liked your page. They know you. They want to get your stuff, but the algorithm isn't showing it. So if you do an ad to them, it's such a small group that you're going to spend tens of dollars, like 10, 20, $30 on this group to get
That's smart.
hundreds of more people to
Smart.
see your posts. Yeah. So that's one of the ads that we run for all of our clients. We call it a most recent ad, where the most recent post we advertise just to the people who like your page. Now, of course, you can advertise that to other people to get more visibility. But if you just want a really hot audience group and you don't have a big budget, that's a really great way to take advantage of ads. So those combine work beautifully just because organic reach is so low. I'm kind of curious because short form video has been so strong with TikTok, and TikTok organic reach is just insane. Reels on Instagram was really insane too, but it's starting to quiet down. So Facebook, then they're always late to the party. They have their reels on pages, and soon you're going to be able to, some people might already have this, you'll be able to post your reel on Instagram and automatically get it on Facebook too. Today it's not an automated experience, which is frustrating. My curiosity is, because that's sort of newer for Facebook, I think we're going to see some good organic reach on Facebook Reels. So if you are creating the Instagram reel, go ahead and share it to Facebook and pay attention to those numbers, because that will be a good way to get the free reach if you're not advertising. And then finally, from the Facebook perspective, groups, like you said, they've done some really cool updates on Facebook for groups to create better communities within the group, better ways to connect with each other and network. And there's a lot of different strategies around creating a group. You can have your loyalty members and they get really special perks in there, and only they get stuff, and they get stuff first. They get special invites. You do special live stream to them. Maybe you have a group that's more around the type of products you sell or a line you sell, and people are really passionate about that line. And so you sell it and you create kind of the group for that interest. And then, the thing with groups is, like social, I mean, it's going to take time to stay connected. Groups might take a little bit more time if you are really in there cultivating the conversation, responding to people, because other people are also sharing. And so to keep that going, you want to comment to them and you just really want to have that going. So that's where somebody on your team, or a couple people, are moderators of that group. And then honestly, just knowing like what the owner is going to do, what the team is going to do, what we expect of our group members, what are we trying to create here, to really have clarity of the purpose of how this group is going to run and what we want to see from it. That's going to set you up for success and save a lot of time and missed opportunities of not creating the conversation within the group. So though, definitely groups, ads, reels, that's where it's at with Facebook, and it's not dead.
Yeah, I was like, like I said, like I'm rarely on, Elisa posts, or my VA posts for Facebook for MC Design Collaboration, but I'm never on it. I don't even think people engage with it, because we have so many people that actually more engage with me on Instagram than anything. It's funny. It's like, I always forget it's there and it's even running. And then all of a sudden I'm all, oh yeah, that's the page. But I will say this though, for people that do have any kind of social media, that when people comment, please take the time to have somebody respond. There's nothing worse and makes somebody feel less than anything, is when their comment just sits and floats out into the abyss, and no one, I mean, I get it if you're J-Lo and you have 365,000 people commenting, but if you have even 1,000, 2,000 people that are following you, and you have even 1 or 2 people comment, just respond, because it's so important. And I know from just this podcast and our community that we've grown, it's how fast it's growing, but I make sure that I'm constantly on it and thanking people for their response and their comments, because I think it's like super important to me. And I'm like always blown away when people are commenting and sending DMs, but it is super important to me because it is a community, and it's something that I've worked really hard to build. And I really want people to know it's me responding, and that, I'm super appreciative of it. But I think that's really important for businesses all the way around.
Completely. I agree 100%. And if there's a store that has people, like employees that are posting for them, and like multiple people posting, one thing I recommend doing is, if you are responding to that comment at the end, just leave your first name so people know who they're talking to, because it is a brand. So that you don't always have that face there. They don't always know. And that way, if I've been going back and forth with Jill, and now all of a sudden I'm in the store, I'm going to be like, is Jill here? I've been talking to her on Instagram. Like, it's way more personal than, I'm never going into Target being like, is Jill here? like there's just no, that's not
You get
connecting at
it,
all. Right. Right.
but there is. Talk to me a little about your podcast, Crystal Uncorked.
Oh, well, I like you. I love my show. I love doing the show. I started it because I just wanted, I mean, you said it earlier. You said that being a retailer is hard and lonely. It could be lonely. And being an entrepreneur, it's lonely. And so I just felt like I feel alone. I'm going through these things and I want to talk to other entrepreneurs about it. And I want to share my experience for other people who might also feel alone in running their business and share what I've learned and what I've done. If I can help one person, then that's pretty cool. So we have open and honest business conversations over a glass of wine. And I do solo episodes as well as guest episodes. And it's just about pulling back the curtain on running a business and the things that work, the things that don't, the things that are hard, lessons I'm learning about my journey, and then talking to other entrepreneurs.
I love also that you're also including the wine that you're drinking in the vineyard it's coming from. I seriously think you need to be sponsored by some of them, to be honest.
I agree. I haven't approached anyone and I'm like, what does it hurt? Just ask somebody. But I mean,
100%.
yeah, one of the coolest things happened. Actually, I used to live in Southern California. I'm in Colorado now. And there was somebody who saw a Facebook post of mine and they run this business called Sidecar Tours. And they do these motorcycles with sidecars and they take you through the vineyards in Temecula, California. And now they've branched out to other places. And they're like, hey, can we give you a free trip and talk about us on your show?
How
So
fun!
I know. So me and my boyfriend at the time, Dustin, we're now engaged. So it's
I
weird
heard
saying
I
fiance
heard he asked you on camera.
on the show. Yes, he proposed on camera, which was so cool. And so I think it's episode 64 if anyone wants to check that out. But so we go and do it. And then our final stop, we go to 3 different wineries. Final stop, we've had some wine at this time. So we're feeling pretty good. And Dustin's like, you should interview the owner of this winery, right? And I'm like terrified, but I'm like, okay. So we ask and he's like, sure. He grabs a bottle. We go out into the vineyard in this gorgeous table that they have sitting there. And it's a 20-minute interview. It was so great. One of my favorites, beautiful scenery. And I'm like, okay, there's also something to this. So I did it again with another vineyard in Southern California. And like, if I could just wave a wand and just go interview all these vineyards, that would be incredible.
I highly suggest doing it because what we start like originally when I intended on doing this podcast, like I was like, I wanted them to be filmed in the store, and it was too complex because I literally decided to do this again on a whim, and I have no idea. I'm not the person behind all the wizardy. Like that's all Elisa and Catherine, my editor. Like this would not happen without her. I can do this all day long, but I want to do it in stores. And then it was like, okay, that's a lot of editing. And it's like editing camera and then editing the audio and even having this now on YouTube, there's still a certain amount of editing that she has to do. And so I put it off, and then the beginning of this year, I was like, we're going to start doing retail horror road trips. And it's like, I've been like funding it myself, which I have no problem doing because I think it's that important, but it has been so cool to see the reaction of people being able to see the store. So we're circling back around with people we've already interviewed, that people have already heard about and what they do and what I love about them. And now we're going to the store, and it's like, for me, it's the ultimate eye candy, because it's like, I go into retailers and I could tell you exactly like, oh my God, an amazing walkthrough, tell me about your opening statement. And we did one, and the first one was in Minneapolis, a store called Serge and James. Their store is amazing. It's 3 levels. They built it themselves. They're out of Target forever. So they are super smart and super savvy. And their bathrooms, there's a bathroom on every single floor, and the wallpaper and the tile. I was so blown away by that. But it's been so much fun to do the live and in person, that I mean, like if you can do that and you can swing it, I highly, now we have sponsors and more sponsorships coming. And so now it's helping alleviate some of the flight and the hotel and like everything. Cause we do it in 2 days, but it's still, it's still a good amount of money to do, when you're funding it yourself. But it's a whole other experience, and the response has been so good. So I can only imagine, I mean, like, you need to do that in a long
I
story.
know.
Long.
I know. Well, I love that you do that. I mean, that sounds incredible, just to bring the retail store, because it is so visual. And so to be able to be in person together, and like, that's the thing, going back to connecting, being in person, an in-person interview is just so much better than doing Zoom. And I know so many people are burnt out on Zoom, and it's great that we can do Zoom and that we have these outlets. But if we can be in person, it's just, there's magic that happens. I think it's special.
I'm for the January show. It's not announced yet, but for the January show, this will come after January. But I'm part of a roundtable of podcasters that IMC, who owns America's Mart and who owns Vegas Market, is putting on, and so they're going to give us rooms to do like in-person podcasting on
Oh,
site.
nice.
So my hope is we can get a bunch of retailers, since they'll all be there at the show, on the podcast, and we can have that moment of like the face-to-face. Because I mean, thank God for Zoom, because a couple of podcasts we've done just over the phone, and it's the weirdest thing. It's like there's something about at least being able to see the person you're talking
Yes.
to and have this conversation. So I'm not burned out on it yet. I'm freaking grateful for it, because I've had a couple of them where there's no, like, either they didn't want to come on camera, and it's like talking to a blank screen. I'm like, this is so weird.
That is so hard. Yep. That's so hard. Thank
But
God for Zoom for that. Yeah.
yeah, and but I highly, if you do, you need to do more in persons.
Yeah. I know. I would
Well,
love that.
I always ask applicants, last two questions is, all creative people have some way that they get inspired. How do you get inspired?
Oh my goodness. How do I get inspired? I mean, for me, music. I I have to have music on at all times. So when I'm working, if we have game night in the morning, the first thing I do is put on Spotify, whatever kind of mood I'm in. I have my go-to list, but I just get so much energy through songs and through
Yeah.
music. I mean, you should see me on an airplane. I can't contain it. I like, if I get that song that's coming on and
That
I'm
was
like,
amazing.
oh, I'm typing away and I'm just like, I'm feeling it. I'm just like, yes, so that, man, that just does something for me with music.
I love it. And my last question is, because this podcast was, the tagline is stories and lessons from a life in retail. Share with everyone one of your best lessons.
Mm. Oh, there's so many. Well, okay. So one that I reference a lot and think about a lot. I'm a speaker. I love speaking. And I got hired for my biggest gig. This was like 7 years ago. And it was a big, well-known company. It was the most money I ever made speaking. And I was working with my coach, Paul De La Garza, and I was scared. I was
Ah,
excited, but I was also like, whoa, the pressure's on. And he was asking me questions, and he's like, well, what makes this any bigger than if you were standing talking to 5 people? And I'm like, well, it's this company though, and they paid me a lot of money. And he's like, well, what really makes it any different? And he kept asking the same question. And what we got to was, it's all about just helping people. So I could make a bigger difference speaking for free at a coffee shop to the person working next to me and change their life. And isn't that more meaningful than how much money you make and how big the company is?
yeah.
And so when I reframed it all on like, oh, yeah, like I just want to help people. If I can help one person in this room have a breakthrough, have some sort of impact, and then a year later or 6 months or whatever, they are reaching out, and often they won't reach out, but sometimes they will, and share what happened for them. I mean, that makes it all worth it. At the end of the day, that's what I want to do, is help people create change in their life and see results with what they're doing and be excited about it and grow their business, like the thing that they love. I get to be a part of that growth. So it was that was a big lesson for me.
It's a good lesson.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time here. I'm so excited for everyone to hear about this because I think you answered a lot of questions people have and addressed fears that a lot of retailers have. So I can't thank you enough for coming on with us.
Oh, well, I am so honored to be here and thank you for doing this show and helping the industry. And I'm so glad that we are now connected and I
Yes.
can't wait to have you on Crystal Uncorked.
Oh, I'm so excited. And I can have a glass of wine with you.